Hi, everybody. My name is Phyllis Y. Whitley, and today we have an exciting news. We are going to my book, Spiritology. We're not actually going in the book. Spiritology book went to Spiritology Live, which is my podcast, and now we are doing Spiritology I say the unapologetic, unchurch, and unmuted. Yes, it's really referring back to Spiritology Live. I have one of my Whisper team members here, Sheeta. And those of you who say, Miss P, you seem like you like trying to talk with something in your mouth. Yes, I'm a New Yorker, but at the same time I have Invisaligns. So I'm correcting my teeth and I'll be like, should I wear them? But my dentist said you better wear them. And I said, are you sure? So we are gonna go into episode 59. Yes, this is 59, hacking into spiritual constipation. This is gonna teach you how to release your relationship properly. We talked about being in a season or not being in a season. And because of not being in the right season or knowing that you are in the right season, you didn't manifest anything. Many of you are in relationships, stuck at jobs, stuck in your career, stuck in not writing that book. And you know what you do? I'm not manifesting nothing. You feel miserable. You know something is wrong with that relationship, but you can't put your hand on it, or you just don't want to be alone. Some of you don't want to be alone, so you would stay with Mr. What for a season. And then when you get older, you say, why am I sitting here? You was with the wrong person. You might have been at the wrong job. Maybe you took up a major and stayed in it. I know a lot of people who went and did the whole 4 years and came out and said, oh my God, this is not the career for me. And I know that hurts many of you. But some people know how to pivot. What do you do in a situation like that? You come out of a bad relationship. Don't jump from tree to tree. That's something that you have to do some soul searching and figure out what went wrong, why I avoided the red flags, or is it time for me to move on because I'm not really happy because this person is not accepting me moving forward in life. I'm just saying. Now, it could be your career. You are there, you know everything. They come to you for every problem, everything, so you can bring a solution for every department. For everybody that's supposed to specialize in something, they go to you and you're miserable. Guess what? It might be time for you to go and take your genius somewhere else, like into your own business. That's why today we're going to discuss hacking into spiritual constipation. You have to release your relationships, and that's with everything. I'm a holistic practitioner, and I point out my belief. My whole theory is about your mind, body, and soul. And we're going to kind of tease you a little bit, give you a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, so you can realize I can go forward, but I have to make sure that I clean up my mess because we are talking about constipation. How do you know you're constipated? We have a beautiful guest from my Whisper Wise team. Her name is Sheeta. Sheeta, let's have a conversation right now. Constipation
Yes.
people be in some people headlines, but I say constipation because we know what it's like to be physical. We know what physically constipated, but on a spiritual level, which I specialize in, Can you give me some of the signs of what is your take on that, being spiritually constipated, and why do that stop you or help you?
Yeah. And what I was learning is spiritual constipation is similar to regular natural constipation, but it's just really when you are not able to move on, like to move forward. So you give a good example in this podcast about learning how to cleanse yourself out for all the baggage that you have before your next relationship, or your speaking about relationships specifically. And I think that was important because one of the examples you gave is, and I think we've all done it, is when you're in a new relationship with someone and you got hurt from the relationship before so badly that you start to react to that person like they're the person from the past, or you're always reminiscing on, oh, well, my ex did this, or my ex did that, or the person that broke my heart did this. Um, and so it's like you're stuck. You can't pass that event or that moment so that you can release yourself and like be free to go on to the next moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this might not sound too, you might say, I don't want to hear all of that. But she's right. You can get constipated. You can be constipated in your spiritual life. And what happens is it's going to manifest. Manifestation is what you see. The Wright brothers believed in a plane, but it was up here first. It was in the invisible. Then it manifested. So you have to, or you should, be cleansed. She said your past relationship. Guess what? You bring your relationship. This is why I'm a great believer that even between relationships, you should cleanse yourself on a spiritual level. You should do some soul searching. You should look back and say, what happened? What went wrong? And I know those of you crying, that's a part of relieving a lot of the stress, the buildup. You crying, it don't feel good. But sometimes you go through a season like that because think of those that are mothers. When you had your child, that labor pain was hell. But you had to go through that before you brought something into the world. You manifested the baby. And then you smiled. Then you laughed. And then it was joy. And you know what your kids do. And then they make you feel like, oh God, I got to unmanifest you. But with that being said, it is a season that you go through and you want to do it properly because you want to close that door like in your career properly. You don't want to get mad at everybody, but you did this to me, you did that to me. Oh my goodness, I gave y'all everything. I quit. You want to say, okay, you know what? It's time for me to go and become an entrepreneur. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put in my 2-week notice or your month notice, and you may have a 6-month plan. And on your side hustle, you are building and building it and building it and building it until you can properly say, here go my 2-week notice, here go my 1-week notice, and leave. Because you never know if you might want to go back, or you never know when you might need some of those people to help you, give you a reference, or you just want to be friends. You want to depart friendly. Can you do this in relationships? A lot of people can't. So I remember an old girlfriend of mine back in the days in high school. She said her mother told her that you should stay friends with those who you know is going to really make it in life. And I thought that was so stupid, but this was a teenager mind I had. I like, that's so silly. I only want to be friends with nobody if we don't get along or whatever. But that's why probably why my Facebook don't have millions. I do believe, looking back, if I had to look at tell my young self something, I would say make all of the connection networking that you can do and keep them there. I didn't say friends because sometimes I feel if you got 100 friends, that means you got a 99% of being hurt. People are there for a season, a reason, and everybody's not there to stay as a lifetime because we didn't discuss the lifetime. Speaking of season, that was my past episodes. And please, I keep bringing that up because they are all connected. We want you to release your relationship properly. And what happened? Why? Why do I have to do that? What happened if I don't, Miss P? Then you bring baggage. Think about your garbage bag. You drag that U-Haul truck of baggage to the next relationship, and then you dump it at the man's feet or the woman's feet and say, now, can you handle all of this? It's unfair. It is really unfair. That's why you have to clean out the garbage. You have to have time between relationships. Well, Miss P, I just don't like being by myself. Well, if you don't like being by yourself, why would somebody else want to be with you? Ouch. Let's go deeper into our audio. Can y'all believe that? Probably not. But listen to me. Come on. This is good. She went through a 6-month, her and all the females, 6 months. And she literally had to learn how to bring her conscious level up to be in the presence of a king. This is why I have mentored so many females around the world. Let me tell you something. I prepared them for their king. And if you're not prepared for your king, I prepared them to be a queen. Because everybody is like, hey, I'm not trying to get no king. I just want to get myself together. I want to take care of my kids. I'm a single parent. I don't really want to go back there. But I prepare you so that you can live in your promised land and you can be happy and you can set an example. And then why are you in your promised land? Remember, it's not for you. It's for everybody else. Whether your platform is 2 people to 2,000 to 2 million to unlimited. This is how you live your promised land. God will give you the good and plenty if you do one thing, serve him right and multiply. Nothing is for you. That's why when you get a seed, that seed has to go in the ground and then they have to come back. You can't hold on to anything because why? Because you'll be constipated. Well, Miss P, what are you telling me about the 6 months? What I'm telling you is, how long do it take you to go from man to man? You didn't even cleanse yourself out in your last breakup and you go straight to the next one. You know what many of y'all have done? Ask yourself, how long do it take you to go to the next man? Do you purify yourself? I know that was deep. I know some of y'all walked away. Come back. Purification. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going to go over there. Purification, why? Because you need to find out who you are. You need to find out why did you let those red flags pop in at every train stop in your relationship. You need to stop and figure out why did you stay on the same job for 25 years and let them drain you. Yes. I think about, I'm into football, those of you who know me. NFL, watching football. Sometimes I watch college football. And I'm pretty sure that y'all have heard of Shannon Sharpe and Cinco in Nightcap, I believe. And he was saying something about, he was on a show with, oh God, what is his name? Bayless. And I believe it was called Undisputed. It was a sports show. And he was miserable at the last couple years or 2 years. And unfortunately, he said it was just, he didn't even want to go to work, but he did. He had to make a conscious decision of what to do. And with the help of all of those that support him, like his sister, he went forward and he left. But you know what was waiting for him on the other side? Oh my God. He interviews, I don't know the name of that other show, but did he do Nightcap? He's on Stephen A. show. I don't know if it's the Stephen A. show, but it's another sports show. What's the name of that? Somebody write it in the chat. And he's just everywhere. And he's smiling. And he's doing it his way. And I don't even think after that show, Undisputed did any good. The ratings went way down. But do you see, he might have stayed there a little bit too long. But it was, I'm going to say perfect timing, because if you put everything in God's hand, God will give you a time. You have to discern it, but you can't discern it here if you don't have a relationship with him here. The reason why I brought that up is a lot of y'all are scared. I don't want to be alone. The years are going. I'm getting older. Don't stay idle. Keep moving. Get that degree. Go specialize in something. Well, I have a good job, Miss P, and I really don't want to go any farther or whatever. So if you want to put the ceiling on what you're doing, go start doing a side hustle. You like to cook? You like to sew? Some of you got some good skills on the side. Go do it. Go your hobby. You might want to jump out the plane. Do all the stuff that you ever wanted to do. And you might look up and see somebody sitting next to you, standing next to you, doing the same thing that might turn into something we didn't talk about. And that's your life mate. And it can just be your career. Shannon, if he would have sat there and was miserable, people was just tuning in to listen to him. And the show had good ratings, but he was miserable because is it possible that he needed to go somewhere else? Let me have a conversation with Sheeta. It was called First Take. Yes. And I mean, it wasn't called, it is still called First Take. So, Sheeta, that was really, really, really deep. Sometime, some of us are just got it like that, and we don't look for the next relationship. The relationship just come to us. I think that can happen because the person was really waiting for you in the spiritual realm. That person, could it be that person was there and you finally got out one relationship and that person was right there and it was time for y'all to connect? So don't get me wrong. Sometimes you don't have to have a long season between men. I have seen it where people was in bad relationships and as soon as they broke up or whatever, their husband came. So it happens sometime, What do you think about? Yeah. Well, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just really like how you mentioned the purification part, because you definitely don't want to keep attracting the same person over and over, like you say, with a different face. And so you hear about the good, but you also hear more commonly the people that, they get from one bad relationship to another one, to another one, to another one. And it's like, when you talk about the purification, I think about that in the spiritual sense, because that wasn't something that I was aware of before. But now I'm way more aware of that. Just really, really preparing yourself for what you want, which is something good, and everything you described. So,
yes, absolutely. We are talking about episode 59, Spiritual Live Podcast. And who are we? This is Spiritology Unapologetic. Because I'm not going to apologize what I said in my podcast, because that's raw. Unchurch. Because I'm not here to tell you, you must do this and you must do that, and then God will hear you. No, you don't have to do nothing. Go straight to God. His yoke is easy. Do you understand? Go to God and get your relationship with God. And all this stuff you hear us talk about discernment, all of that, you can't have that unless you have a connection with God. Some of you have that unction, but you can't figure out what your spirit is telling you. You need to go to the head manufacturer manuscript, the Bible. Mhm. Because when you do that, you will not crash and burn and say, this is the end all because my relationship is not there. In some cases, when you do not leave, when you do not walk away from that job, they fire you. Then you spend another time in your life constipated. In some situations, the woman is telling you, I don't want you. And you sit there and say, I don't want to be alone. I'm going to be here with you. And you know what you do? You stay constipated. You stay stuck. You stay built up. And all that junk will be released after they fire you or the person just break up with you. Then you go through a long time when you have diarrhea. I'm going to say it that way. You know why? Because everything come up. And when it all come out, you might have flipped a bit. You might have went bloop. You might be going to the Lulu house because you know why? You had all this stuff packed inside you that it caused a diseasement. In the physical world, diseasement is disease. In the spiritual world, you're going to go blue. So it is so crucial for you to properly close every door properly. Now, I know we got some stuff in here that is literally a little bit of salt, a little bit of funny pepper, and Sheila's going to share that with you.
Yes. One of the things that I thought was funny is when you said, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but some of y'all are out here swinging from tree to tree. And I had to start cracking up laughing because it's true, right? It's a lot of times you don't want to go through the pain in the relationship. So you want to get to the next. What is the saying? They say to get over the next one, get under the next one or something like that. So I think so. It's not a good saying. It is a saying.
Oh, yes. We're gonna leave that there. Well, she is so right. No, you don't like the pain, and you know what she was saying. She literally, Sheeta was trying to tell you something. A lot of us is like, I know myself. I'm proud of myself. But I don't like that empty spot between it. Some of us don't have good connection with our families. We don't have our friends are long distance. Some of us don't have friends, and you miss that person. This is why sometimes it's easy for them to say, come back," and they treat you like a dog, and they say, "Come back," and you come back, and they promise you a rose garden. You must have a relationship with God in yourself, because God can take the place and fill that gap and show you what way you should go. And when you have a relationship with yourself, you won't sit in the house and say, I can't take it. I can't be here. It's just boring. If it's boring, don't you think that person may find you boring? Have a life that you say, hey, every day you got something to do, even in your house. Even though I'm self-employed and I work from home, oh my goodness, I work more than I ever did at a job. And those of you who know me, she said went from tree to tree to tree, that from man to man to man, from woman to woman to woman. You can go from job to job to job. Y'all religious people, you can go from church to church to church to church. You can do all of that. And you know why? Because you might be looking for something that is really in you. Something to think about. You might be looking for something that's really in you. That's why you have to do some soul searching. You have to go within yourself. You have to find out. Go back to the drawing board. Those of you who do the vision board, that's not curse. No, that's not God, Miss P. Really? You need to go to the scripture that says, write it plain, write it and see, and the angels will go with it. Did I say that right? I don't even know what scripture it is, but you understand? You need to write it plain. He's talking about write it down. That's a vision board. You can put that in a vision board, or you can put the pictures there. Why? You might need to go back and say, do I really want to go in this way in that career? Do I really want what I think I want? I watched Love is Blind. I used to watch The Bachelor. I watch it sometime, some seasons. But Love is Blind, they have to get to know each other in a pod without seeing each other. And then when they fall in love without seeing each other, they bring them together, and they be so nervous because they want to make sure that the person is not, but they don't look at them. They don't want them to fall in love with their physical side. And the good part about the show is good. They go to different countries, and they had some successful people. They go back a year. In some cases, they went back a couple years, and the people had beautiful relationship, beautiful marriage. And I do believe, and I talk to people who come from other countries, and they know that their grandparents or their mother had arranged marriages and they still married. I sometimes believe that now we are so materialistic, we are so physical, we are not concentrating on the heart. It's a whole nother book. But what we're talking here, I hope in closure, it brought something to you. You understand why that you need to release those relationships properly. You need to exit your relationship properly. I know you say, well, suppose I was hurt, suppose I was burned. Then in suppose that person won't have nothing to say to me, or I don't want to say nothing to them. Then deal with yourself. Deal with yourself. And you get yourself together, you'll be all right. I remember years ago, I had a relationship, and I kept saying, you hurt me. And I really wasn't hurt. I think I did all the hurting, unfortunately. That's why God has said, I got to go get her. So really, and I kept saying, you hurt me. And then, the person kind of left me at the altar because we was engaged. But I was like, here was some pain in there. And every time we talk, you hurt me. You hurt. This kept saying, I kept saying it. And one day I heard a voice. I heard God say to me, yes, he didn't hurt you. You hurt yourself. Oh boy, did I have to step back. I had to go back. I had to get off that phone and go to God. I said, God, what do you mean I hurt myself? I did. Because all the red flags were sitting there. Oh, I won't even go into it. And I remember I convinced myself that this is it. I am tired of being alone, especially if you spend years of not being with nobody. I was spending years, because sometimes we married to our job, we married to our education. And I was like, no way in the world. But it hurts when you spent years alone, and then you go into a relationship. You meet that person and you put everything on hold for that person. And then you find out that this person is not the one. That hurt. You want to go back and crawl in your closet and say, I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. But during that time, what you do, come out of idle, get yourself together, fall in love with yourself, develop a relationship with God, so you won't be walking around here saying, I'm spiritually constipated. Yes, you might be doing that. Did you learn anything, Sheeta?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was good. It was good. It was really good. Just really taking that time to clear out all the hurt, the baggage, any of the pain, so that you don't, because I have learned that it's okay to have emotions because something didn't work out, like in a relationship setting. But it's not okay to not deal with what happened and then move on to the next relationship. Like, that compartmentalization is not good. You have to face it and then really learn how to accept it, and then look at yourself and see, okay, what can I do to prevent myself from kind of attracting the same people again and again? And then what will I do if this were to happen again? Like, do I understand all the fundamental parts of like recovering from it? So
Absolutely. It's just like a test. You fail the test, you have to go back and see, where did I go wrong? And in some cases, the test, where if you went to the board to take a test, whatever you try to specialize in, or even to get out of pass a course in college, you have to look at it and you have to say, it'll tell you you failed reading, you failed math, but you did good and you excelled in this particular area. Guess what? You have to go back and you have to go and study math. Study, study, study. Go back and study the type of men that you're getting. Study the type of females you're attracting. You might be surprised, when I was talking about Love is Blind, a lot of them said, this is not even my type. I would have walked past this person on the street or at a bar, but their heart spoke to me. So that's why you have to have that space in between. And even when you start in a relationship, you can still clean up what was in your past. Remember, you want to release those relationships properly. I have no more to say, but please like, share, and comment. Tell me, are you constipated? Are you spiritually constipated? We want to know in the comments. Remember, if you want more, this is episode 60. If loving yourself is right, you don't want to be wrong.